communications that's related to other organizations and how they relate to people is in building relationships, and in particular is the notion of audience. Campaigns and political parties and candidates typically have two audiences in mind, right? And they produce some content for those audiences. So there's the press on the one hand, and then there's the sort of mythical, disengaged voter who, you hope to get your 7 seconds of message into their brain, on the nightly news, or you interrupt, Desperate Housewives with a, commercial or whatever it is. But it's sort of this forced relationship with the undecided voter. So how do campaigns serve those audiences? Well, they produce press releases and earned media events and all these things to try to get the press writing about what they want to write about, what they want them to write about. And then there's the TV commercials and the little bits of outreach through the earned media to try to get to the undecided voter. We had a completely different idea about audience in the new media team that we were uniquely qualified to serve. And we helped with those other bits, but the big lesson here was that our supporters were the biggest underserved audience. So the people that we worked with on a day-to-day basis and the people that required the motivation to go do the work on a day-to-day basis, typically campaigns aren't doing anything specifically targeted for them. Maybe you get a piece of mail asking you for a donation, or you get the copy from that mail pasted into an email asking you for a donation, but that's typically about it. And so we sought to leverage content for this audience as a way of building relationships, both between the campaign and the supporters, but even more importantly, among the supporters themselves, to give them a sense of what this community was, what this movement was that they were engaged with. So like the first video that you saw, this post from our campaign blog is typical in that it's not about Barack Obama. A majority of the posts to our blog and the videos we posted on YouTube actually weren't about the candidate at all, and in many cases weren't even about an election day. This is a woman from Georgia who had signed up for the campaign and made a donation, who we called up on the phone and said, "Why did you do that?" And she talked about the reasons and the sort of core principles and what she wanted for her son and what she wanted for her country, and that's why she was involved. And so telling these stories, and there are thousands of them, over and over again in different ways, helped create a sense that there are many more people like me who are engaged in this in a passionate way. And these stories wound up becoming the glue of those relationships. Similarly, that human face element also came into the content. This is 3 folks from our policy team who had a discussion on the blog about answering questions about a particular piece of legislation. These are actual policy people, not the press people who are supposed to talk about the policy, but the people who are actually writing the policy. The guy in the lower left is like a really scary, powerful guy on the National Security Council now. Like, this is these are the actual, and it was weird because he wore sandals to the office every day. But this sort of transparency and the sense of accountability to our supporters that at every level of the organization, the real people were having the conversations was important. Now, 25 people, I think you can see, if it's not too small, there are 2,500 people who participated in this discussion, but there were hundreds of thousands of more who saw that this discussion happened because we took a picture of it and put it up on the blog. And so even those who didn't get a chance to participate saw that the participation happened, and that was a big part of the continuing storyline of the campaign. And we produced an incredible amount of content around it, whether it was showing video of the people who were knocking on doors to the people who didn't have a chance that weekend, showing the discussions that happened for the people who didn't make it for that. All of that storyline of the participation was important. The other content for supporters was tactical stuff for the campaign. So one of the things that we did down the stretch in the general election were strategy updates. This is my boss, David Pluff, the campaign manager, where things were so complicated, there were so many states, so many issues, so many things going on, that we wanted to try to create a digest for our supporters to understand and sort of recenter the conversation about what was happening. So this video is one that we produced to give people that sort of inside scoop, the sense that this is what's going on, and it's from the horse's mouth. And David's not a guy who likes to go on TV a lot. He's not like the typical wants to be on a panel on CNN or whatever. He's kind of a behind the scenes guy. He's a numbers junkie, and so we tried to do things that fit with that personality, give people a real sense of him. So even though we had fancy cameras and lights and whatever, we didn't take him to a studio to shoot his update, we didn't even use a camera. We used a computer like this. So this is actually filmed using the little camera that's embedded into the screen on my computer, and we just put it on a stack of books on his desk and said, talk. And so this is his actual office. Those are the actual maps on his wall. That's the actual pile of papers that he sat next to every day, and that's his actual water bottle. And these were very, very intimate, almost to the effect of having a sort of web chat with somebody. You know, if people have used Skype or iChat or something like that, that there's this intimate sense that this person's right on the other side from you. It's also really long, 5 minutes and 44 seconds here. That's a long time for someone to be watching a video on the web, and it speaks to the power of the content that these were some of our most popular videos that people wanted more of, because it was providing context for all of the work that we were asking them to do. And so the context for that work included not just videos like this, but inspiring documentaries,